Hi, everyone. Welcome to a morning edition of Johnny NASCAR. I have my co host here, Zeba. He's going to help us with some of our NASCAR picks today. So, yeah, it's going to be a good Sunday because we have NFL football starting back up, too. Uh, Unfortunately, that means the Jets are going to start losing games again, which is just the natural order of things in the world. So, I've come to accept it. Uh, so I'll be watching that first before we get to the NASCAR race today. Let's recap a little bit what happened last night with the Xfinity race. Really solid race for us. Went up about 6 units depending upon the prices that you got for the picks that I sent out. Brandon Jones, top five, was the big cash. Called that out way earlier in the week. One of the first bets I placed, and he was top 10 car. In the first stage, hung around 10th or 11th, didn't really lose track position. A couple guys had problems ahead of him, kept moving up, hung around 7th or 8th, and by the end of the race, he was firmly in the top five. Wish he took the inside on some of those restarts. I think that if he did that, he would have put himself in a better position to win, but taking the outside and sitting in the third row in a couple of those restarts was maybe the safer option for our top five bet. So cashing that was great. Also ended up cashing a 2 unit head to head with Jesse Love over Sheldon Creed. Uh, Jesse Love had a pretty good race too. Car just wasn't as strong on the long run there. Lost a couple spots before the final pit stop, and again just came down to the restarts. And Connor Zilic is just so good. I don't know if anyone could have beat him either way, but he's just absolutely dominating the series. So uh, one guy that I wish did get more value on, did put it on in the beginning of the week, was William Sawalich. Obviously, another one of those Gibbs cars. Really, the one that I didn't talk about and had such great value at the beginning of the week. Quite frankly, at the top five. So I think it was 10-1 or 11-1 before practice and qualifying. Obviously, that quickly went away, but should have really bought all in on him as well. With the same line of reasoning that we went with Brandon Jones. I know, buddy. But uh, there's always those bets where you say, I should have had it. And then there's a couple more where, well, I'm glad we didn't bet on him. So, like Sam Mayer was one. Even though it would have been good closing line value, obviously got caught up in the wreck at the end there. Didn't have any sort of speed on the long run, really, too. That car fell off after about 20 laps. So we ended up all right there, not placing that bet. He was one of the guys that I talked about on Wednesday, too. So, yeah, great start to the weekend heading into Sunday, where, practice was really interesting yesterday. Got some things right about what I expected, got more stuff wrong. So diving into the practice data there and just looking at how it went. Dude, chill out. I know you want to lick my hands. So qualifying went about as expected, which was all of the playoff drivers going in the second half were really fast, and just about the top 15. I think the top 15 is probably, 13 playoff drivers. So, yeah, everyone that qualified last got good track position, which is going to be super important today. I mean, just about important at any track that we go to for the Cup Series this day and age in NASCAR, but going to be especially important today. I expect the track to widen up, but passing is still going to be at a premium. So, getting the good qualifying run for some of these playoff drivers was the first step for them to try and have a successful weekend. Now, practice was really interesting, and obviously going back to the qualifying portion of it, obviously Denny Hamlin got the pole, so his odds have shrunk. He's the favorite, and we talked about him as being one of the big three. Christopher Bell, Ryan Blaney, the other two, both had solid qualifying efforts. Look good in practice, and all three of them retain their position as some of the big favorites. Now, Denny Hamlin, looking through the data, didn't have as strong of a long run car as some of the other guys, but again, qualifying first, he gets out there in clean air. We saw it with Chase Briscoe at Darlington, where maybe He didn't have as strong of a long run car in practice, but it didn't matter because he got the clean air and he proceeded to lead the most laps for anyone in like 50 years in the Southern 500. So clean air is really important, and it can fix a lot of maybe not a lot, but it can fix some of the deficiencies you maybe had in practice. And so uh, there's a good reason why Denny Hamlin's favorite, and I wouldn't harp too much on that long run speed in practice for him at least. A couple of the other guys, so Blaney, Christopher Bell, cars look good in practice. Ryan Blaney was actually a little slower than maybe I expected on the long run. Or maybe it's just not as he was slower, but just the surprise. And maybe it wasn't as much of a surprise as I look back on, more information I gathered since I posted my video on Wednesday. Hendrick was really good in practice. I talked about the tire test and said that sometimes that doesn't matter, and I kind of didn't hold as much weight into it as maybe I should have, because I think the tire test was really important. And the Hendrick guys were talking about how basically all their baseline setup came from that data that Kyle Larson got from the test. And the test was for the different tire that they brought, which was the tire they used at Iowa, and that seems to have made a pretty big impact on just how people unloaded. Some of the guys, like I said, that I expected to unload with speed, specifically RCR, just did not have anything. Both Kyle Busch and Austin Dillon were outside the top 30 in practice. Austin Dillon had the worst car in practice. So again, I ended up placing a lot on his top 10, top 5, and outright earlier in the week. Don't feel too good about it. The saving grace was that he went later in qualifying, being a playoff guy, qualified 15th. And so at least he has that track position to start. And maybe that team got some better data later in practice. It looks like they were able to at least not have the car fall off when they ran a few more laps, which is a little promising. So we didn't lose too much value in terms of where he's priced at right now. But yeah, it's still not a bet that I'm completely comfortable with. But we'll see. He ended up, I think, with a top 10 at Iowa. And that's why I kind of expected them. I didn't expect them to be so slow, because they did pretty well at Iowa, and this is the tire that they brought from there. And so I expected, with their past history at this track and bringing that tire, I didn't think that they would be so bad on loading. But that, again, the bet's already placed. I would say if you can cash out the outright, I know it's not too big of a bet, but if you could cash out of that, I'll tell you right now, he's not winning today. I'm hoping that he just gets into the top 10, has a quiet day. They got that car handling a little better. Maybe it's better in traffic compared to some of his competitors, and they hang around the top 10 and ended up cashing that. So, but Hendrick, going back to Chevy and Hendrick, I mean, they unloaded with speed. And so when the lines were released last night, at least for DraftKings and Caesars, I got a bit of allergies, I guess. No, Ziba, don't bark. He's being a good watchdog, barking or growling at the 70-year-old man walking outside. So Hendrick was really good in practice, and especially Kyle Larson has a fast car, has good long-run speed. William Byron has a fast car, has good long-run speed, and Byron was, good at Iowa. And I think, like I mentioned in the previous video this week, had a fast car at Gateway the past couple years, but when he got back in traffic, wasn't as good. I think Hendrick is better equipped for if they do fall back in traffic to make their way back through the field. And after I released my video, I was reading around a bit, and there was an article actually specifically interviewing Jeff Gordon and a few of the Hendrick guys about how they felt about their flat track packages, just because a lot of people look at this race. Ooh, I'm watching the F1 race. I don't know who that is. Haas car just dumped another guy. So the article talked about how they feel like they're improving, and they kind of had tight lip service, and Jeff Gordon was like, he felt like they were getting there for these types of tracks because they recognize that Penske is absolutely dominant at Phoenix, and if you want to win the championship, you got to be good at this type of racetrack. And so Gordon kind of alluded to the fact they felt like they were getting closer. Kyle Larson seemed like he was, gave his usual answer where he's not going to be over exuberant about it, but you can kind of read between the lines. They felt like they were closer, and I think that test session gave them some confidence, gave them a good setup, and I think all of them are fast. So when I look at the lines now, William Byron 9-1 at DraftKings. I think that's going to be a play. Like I said, when they opened back up, it was kind of atrocious. There was 5 guys below 6-1 or at 6-1, including Byron. The lines have grown for a couple guys since then, and so Byron 9-1 I think is the most value for at least between the two favorites of the Hendrick guys of Larson and Byron. Now Chase Elliott didn't have a good qualifying run. Starting in the middle of the pack, his line has shrunk a little bit since where he was in the week. Was about 20-1, 22-1, and now it's 18-1 in most places or in some places. That might be another one. I might just go with all the Hendrick guys, sans Larson, because I don't think the value's there at 5-1, but I could change my mind too. I think Hendrick has a good setup, and I think they're going to be fast today. I mean, Byron won the Iowa race with the same tires, so that does help, and I think that there's going to be value there. And another guy that didn't qualify well is Alex Bowman, and he's got to have a good race to make it through this round in the playoffs, and there's going to be a lot of pressure on him. Obviously, Darlington with that just awful pit stop last week and falling behind because of it and not having a good race there just adds more pressure to this week. But we've seen Bowen's pretty good at these tracks. He's not good. He's not good at Phoenix, though he did have a good Xfinity race here in the spring. I guess might have been still winter then, but I think he's gotten better there. Richmond, obviously, he's really good at. I can't really remember how well he did in Iowa. I'm pretty sure he got the top 10 in Iowa. I think I actually had that bet and had him for maybe a top Chevy too. So, and his car looked really good in the long run. So there's going to be a lot of value on Bowman too because his lines haven't really moved from when they opened. So I'm really looking at his top 10, looking at his top 5. I think that's going to be a play as well. So I'm definitely going to have money on Bowman in some capacity. I'm definitely going to have money on Byron in some capacity unless I get back off the video and that line's for 9-1 is gone for Byron. And then the other 2 Hendrick guys, there might be stuff there as well. And so those 4 drivers are going to be ones that I watch the lines for as we move through the day. Christopher Bell at 7-1 right now. I'm surprised that he's kind of not in the top 3 favorites anymore. I think it's Larson, Hamlin, Blaney, and then Bell. And I'm kind of shocked by that because I still think Bell had a great long run car too. And with his past history here and just with how well he is at these tracks, 7-1, it might be a day where place a couple of unit plus bets on a couple favorites and hope they're the favorites that win. I mean, there's always risk in that because, putting 2 to 3 units on favorites up against guys like Blaney, Larson, and Hamlin, it can come back to bite you real quick. But, if the value's there for them, then it's not the worst strategy. So I'm looking at Bell too, looking to see where that line falls. Penske and Blaney, I don't think they're not going to be as dominant as they were last year. And I think they even recognize that. They felt the new tire brought a variable where maybe they won't feel as comfortable with it. And I still think they were all right. I mean, I think Logano and Cindric qualified fine because, again, playoff drivers going last. You get that advantage of seeing what other guys are doing and matching your lap up to go where the speed is, but I don't think they're not going to be as big of factors, I think. So, anyone else that I haven't touched on? I think that's really it. Trackhouse, actually, I did want to talk about Trackhouse. And Ross Chastain has a really good qualifying lap. I think he's in the top 5. They weren't as good maybe on the short run during practice, but I think they didn't have as much fall off on the long run. And so I think Ross Chastain, I mean, he's good here too. He'll be a factor. Don't know if the value's really there for him anymore. He was 30-1 to open the week, and that may have been the time to do it. Just again, going with the methodology of, well, they finished well last race. They're going to be, they're in the playoffs, so they're going to be good on the metrics, so they'll qualify last and therefore have good starting positions. And that's the best way to get closing line value. Now, it doesn't mean I think as much in NASCAR as it does in other sports, but it's always nice to get a price and then have the lines open back up, and your price is better than the lines the book put out after qualifying. So Trackhouse, I still think is going to be fast. Daniel Suarez is another guy. I think he's starting further off in the field. He had a really good race in 2023 that I discussed, was non-existent in 2024, but maybe they have something, because he was at Phoenix, I think, running top 10, and that was actually the Catherine Leger incident where, she spun out right in front of him, ruined his day, had a solid top 10, was well inside the top 10, knocking on the top 5, ruined his day. And so Suarez may be someone that has a play as well. And then SVG too. So I don't know if it's because they're shifting here and then they're shifting all the way down the third in some spots, but we saw obviously Connor Zilic win yesterday, and at this point he's not even a road course specialist. Connor Zilic is just as much a factor on ovals as he is on road courses. But I talked about Michael McDowell, and I know 2024 wasn't really a good race for him, but 2023 he got in the top 10 playing some strategy, and he's more of a road course specialist, has that road course racing background. I don't know if there's something about this track that maybe lends itself to being more in the wheelhouse of road course racers, but they were talking about on the broadcast yesterday, and it was true. SVG's car in the long run was really good. There was no fall off, and so I wish I could bet on FanDuel, because otherwise that 13-1 for a top 10, I would have money on that. And I'm waiting for a few other books. Hopefully Caesars opens up, and maybe I can still get something double digits. If it's anything above 10-1, I'm gonna have U.S. currency on SVG to get a top 10, because even after he got out of the car, I think he's really happy with it. Qualified in the top 20, which isn't terrible. I think that's a car that can rise to the top 10. And again, the pressure's on him he's got to have a good race. He's got to have a top 10 finish at one of these tracks. I don't think there's going to be enough trouble for playoff drivers where he can just log top 20s, sit in 20th place all 3 races. And obviously Darlington didn't go as to plan at all for him as well. So now he's really on the hot seat to get a top 10, either here at Bristol next week to advance in the playoffs, where he can get to a round where it's more suitable for his background with the road course. But he had good long run speed. You've seen road course racers have some success here at Gateway. At the very least, I might sprinkle something on his outright. I mean, I think I don't want to say it was FanDuel, but it might have been FanDuel. Had him at 500-1 to win. With just how talented he is, and with that hope there, I mean, you can put like 0.01 units on that, and you'd get something meaningful out of it. So I think his outright might be worth a sprinkle, but I'm really looking at his top 10s, hoping that somewhere that I can get more down opens up and I can get half a unit or even more on double-digit top 10 odds, because I think if there's an oval track in a week where it's most realistic, especially based on the practice data we see, it's going to be this week. And so looking high on a lot of Chevy teams that are not RCR, who I was high on at the beginning of the week. But that's why, I try not to, again, overextend myself before qualifying and practice, because sometimes you can be wrong. And you always want to give yourself room before you throw out 10 units on a card to pivot, to maneuver. Make sure you have some value afterwards as well, so you don't have a losing card before the race even starts. So I think that's all I had for today. Let me think of anyone else that. Oh, Zane's. Let's a couple more Ford teams actually. So Zane Smith qualified in the top 10. That is his value shot. He was at 9-1 for a top 10, which I know is a popular bet. I like it all the time. That team, I think, just shoots themselves in the foot. They did it at Darlington. Otherwise, they have the speed to get to the top 10. But Front Row had some success here with Michael McDowell, qualified on the pole actually with him last year. And so, yeah, he qualified, kind of dissolved his value. But one teammate, Todd Gilliland, again, a couple top 15s here. Actually, I think has the longest odds for a top 10 on FanDuel. I still think at 27-1 for a top 10 for that team in Front Row and their potential ability to show some speed. I mean, it's hard to put faith in a team that just keeps making mistakes and has been bad all year, but I think that's worth a little bit of a sprinkle as well. Again, I can't really get much down there, so I'll see if maybe somewhere else there's better odds, or similar odds that I can get money down. But yeah, I think Front Row, they'll have decent speed today. And then Brad Keselowski did the tire test, didn't qualify well. That car looked really good in the long run. Had some speed on the short run too. When he got interviewed, he seemed really happy with it. So I think there'll be some noise from him today. I think he'll be a factor. We'll see where Ryan Preece ends up. I mean, the car was not as good as Keselowski's on the long run. Didn't have the short run speed. But that's also just the way he practices. Didn't qualify well, so basically butchered both corners, both ends of the track, which is a little disappointing. So we have a small play on his outright. I don't know if I'm going to put anything else on him, but he'll probably be moving up through the field too today. And then Chris Buescher qualified well, actually. And he was the guy that I said didn't show a lot of speed in the past few years. Maybe with the Iowa tire here, maybe it changes their fortune, and maybe he'll be a factor today too. So don't know if I'm going to have anything on RFK, but it'll be interesting to watch them throughout the day. And they're obviously hungry for a win to kind of salvage something out of their season with not making the playoffs. They want to get a win before the end of the year. And, maybe this track, Keselowski had a really good car last year, and both him and Preece were top 5 at Iowa, same tire. They could be a spoiler and win the race, but I think actually Keselowski's probably the best contender out of the non-playoff drivers to win the race, but I still think it ends up being a playoff driver that wins today. One of those guys that are a favorite. The last week jitters are gone, and I think these guys came to play today, and it's going to be a playoff-heavy race at the front. So Carson Hocevar, just wanted to touch on him. Didn't really expand in value despite not having a good qualifying effort, and I didn't really like what I saw from these Spire cars in practice. I thought they were a little slower than some of their peers, and so I don't think, they can always improve. I think especially Hocevar, that team has shown the best ability to improve upon the car in the race out of the 3 Spire cars, which is why he's been the most successful this year. Maybe McDowell's actually been more successful in points, but in terms of having, race-winning speed, Hocevar has demonstrated the best ability to get up front at a couple different types of tracks. And so, again, it's a good track for him. It's where he started. Maybe they'll find something, but I didn't really like what I saw in practice. So I'll have to look at the lines again and see if there's anything there that stands out. But to summarize, Hendrick, it's going to be good today. Really like the value on Byron and Bowman. Also like Christopher Bell at 7-1 on, and then going to look into the value for Trackhouse. Those are really the two teams that I have circled here today. That's all I got today. I'm going to go walk my co-host now. I know he's going to want to get a nice exercise session in before we watch a lot of sports today, starting at 1 o'clock with the NFL. U.S. Open Finals is on. Sinner and Alcaraz, at this point, they're must-watch TV. Even if you don't like tennis, these guys are going to be dominant for the next decade. And we have NASCAR today, still MLB going on. So, yeah, another great day for sports as we start the fall stretch where it's always a great day for sports just about. Once we get in October, it'll really kick in a gear. But, yeah, going to be an exciting day. Looking forward to the race. If you want to see all my picks, join Sharp Money. You can use the link in, I think, in my bio or in the comments below. You can sign up. I have a code there, JR100. You get a free month. NASCAR is just 1% of 1% of the content that you'll get in there. Tons of great value that I've already gotten on NFL from the bot this week, for this weekend, for today. Had a great day yesterday with college football. The bot is starting off hot with college football. It's improved since last year, and early success has been great. You can still get MLB. You got NHL, NBA coming right around the corner. So lots of content to get good value, positive EV plays for just about every sport. Soccer is starting still too. So join the Sharp Money Discord below. Again, use the code JR100 when you click the link. Checking out, you'll get your first month free. You'll be able to see what it's all about. You'll have access to the promo team, and you'll be able to build your bankroll very quickly. Promo team's been hot. A couple guys have just been on absolute heaters, so you should be able to build your bankroll quickly and quickly find that Sharp Money's well worth the money. So thank you guys. Hope you have time to fit in watching the NASCAR race today, 3 p.m. Eastern on USA. I know it's a busy sports day. Everyone's got their football team to watch. If you can't watch the beginning half of the race, at least try and tune in around 5, 6 o'clock for the end, because I think it'll be a solid race here. So thank you guys. Have a good one.